here back with another Designing My Island video. Now I did make another video about this in the past, but I wasn't taking it very seriously. I was sort of just being silly, playing around with the feature and seeing what would a world look like without any limits. But I am still curious about what could my island actually look like, realistically, and yesterday we did find out about some of the new landscaping limits. For starters, you cannot edit the beach, at all. So you cannot extend the grass over the beach, you can't extend the ocean water, you can't extend the sand, there will be absolutely no touching the beach. So when you're picking your island in 4 days, by the way, 4 days, New Horizons is coming out, that is so exciting, it's so close now, but when you're picking out your island, you definitely do want to look at your town map and make sure you're happy with the shape of the beach because there is no touching the beach. Also, on top of the base level, you can actually have 3 more additional layers. On this program, there's actually only 3 layers, but in the actual game, there's apparently 4. The problem with that is if you try to get over the 3rd layer, you're going to get an error message that says it is too dangerous to proceed. Now you can get to the 3rd cliff, but you can't get to the 4th. You also cannot create new river mouths, so if you're not happy with the area that your river starts in, you definitely have to pick a different map because you are not going to be able to edit that in any way later. I'm not sure if you can change the shape of that or not, but you definitely can't move it. So going into this design, the first thing I did is I erased the entire river so that I could have a blank canvas, not influenced by anything, and just make up my own decisions about where everything is going to go. Then I started to shape the ground. Now to do this, I wanted to create some sort of a valley shape because I think that valleys are just beautiful when you're at the bottom, there's a river going through, there's flowers, and the mountains are surrounding you. But I thought it would be weird to have the cliffs kind of wrapping around the entire island. So you'll see I did draw a lot of the 2nd layer, but then I went back in with the 1st layer of the town to sort of like limit it. And I actually ended up creating this sort of a droplet sort of thing, so it looks like there's like a little like drop down from the mainland. I added another layer of cliff to it, but then again I thought that it's going to be weird if it's too high at the bottom there, so I lowered it. But I did think it was kind of interesting to have that sort of like there's arms going through the island. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Then I started to try to draw my rivers. Now I actually have 2 river sources and I wanted to draw like a little lagoon right in that corner there, and I couldn't figure out exactly where I wanted to go out in the beach, but I thought something like that might be nice. And it kind of resembles like a dancing person, which I thought was kind of cute. So then what I did is I just went back into the edges a little bit and fixed up everything. I tried to change the river widths to make them look a little bit more natural and just blend everything in a bit better. I then used a very small pixel tool to sort of blend the edge there because I didn't want it to be completely green touching the river, but I didn't want it to be completely like dark green either. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second when I take out the pixel tool. And I just fix up that edge a little bit, so I make it a little bit darker but not too much darker right here. I just wanted to make a smoother gradient to the river. The next thing I did is I created a museum area. I added a path going from it, and I wanted to create sort of like an outdoor display. So as you walk along the path, on both sides there's fossils on display outdoors, because when I saw that in the direct, I thought it looked so beautiful having the giant fossil statues. So these yellow dots I'm adding here are actually representing like the floor lights lighting up the fossils as you follow the museum path. However, after I built this, I actually thought, what if I put the museum up on the cliff and then I can have like 2 staircases leading up to it, sort of like a mansion horseshoe entrance? I thought that could look really pretty, so I actually ended up moving the museum up on top of the cliff and then just shifting everything back a little bit so that I could still have that same display effect, but also be having the museum have an even more grand entrance. So you're led up by the fossils to like the grand entrance of the museum, and I kind of really like this because I had a very similar layout in my city folk town, so it is kind of nostalgic to see this sort of outdoor museum display. I then started to work on the other parts of the island. So I started off by putting my airport right down by the beach. Here I'm just making like a little neighborhood. I actually ended up making 2 separate residential areas. So this right here is like the main residential area. It's like the main neighborhood. So I made it up on the top of the cliff, and the blue dot I just put there is actually the fountain. So I really wanted my neighborhood to be centered around a cute little fountain to have that sort of town square feel. Then I'm connecting the path to the museum, but of course have to add another fountain, This one is in a bit of a different shape. Around neighborhood areas, I went with more fruit trees, but when it gets more wild and wilderness, I went with more cedar. So here you can see I'm making the other fountain. And this is sort of like the town hall fountain. So there is a neighborhood fountain, but it's a little bit smaller. This is a bit more of a grand fountain. So here you can see I'm just kind of rounding off the edges to make it more clear that it's a fountain. I don't know if you could actually tell without me telling you, but there's not really a symbol for it, and I know what it means, so it's fine. I'll know when I'm building my island. I really love fountains and waterfalls, so I knew from the start I wanted to incorporate them in my island, which is also why I do have 2 sources and 2 exits for my river, and it sort of laces through, and there's that one little pond in that corner there. That pond is actually going to have 2 waterfalls going into it because it is at the bottom of a cliff. So I put my residential area right there because I wanted it to be like the customs. So you have to go from the airport to customs, and then you can cross the bridge to get access to my island. I know that we have the best friend feature, so there's not as much of an issue of people coming in and ruining your island, but I still thought it was kind of a cute feature. At this point, I realized that you could zoom in, and I did not know that throughout the entire build, and it was really a struggle building everything without zooming in, and I really regretted this moment when I realized you could do that. But I tried not to do it too much throughout the video because I don't want to ruin the viewing experience for all of you. So here I decided I'm just gonna live right next to the village. I don't live with the villagers. I kind of have my own area, but I kind of don't. You can see I sort of built it off and had my own path. Then I created that little open area there to be sort of like a fishing area because that is my favorite thing to do in Animal Crossing. So I thought it would be really cute if I could actually step down from my front door and have my own fishing area. Then right here I created a beach house neighborhood. Even though we can build houses on the beach, I didn't quite want to do that. I thought it would be even cuter if they live on a neighborhood next to the beach. And this is a bit more realistic too, so I gave them a little neighborhood pond. Then I realized that I had way too many houses, so I did go back and I deleted some of the village houses, but yeah, so basically there's a main neighborhood in the mountain, and then there's another beach house neighborhood right by the edge of the beach there. I was really happy with that. Now I'm adding some palm trees. I did also add a lighthouse and a dock on the left side, and then I added my stores just to extend off of that main town square river, and then I also thought that that empty space right next to it on the left side would be the perfect spot for the town hall. So I added a couple more ponds, and then I went in with the town hall because I thought that that would be such a good spot for it. Once I was done laying out most of like the main buildings, it was mostly just wilderness that I had left to add. So I went in with my cedar trees, and I actually just filled up the area and did some landscaping. Now, this isn't the most exciting. It's basically just me trying to figure out where I put my campsite, but basically what it is I have my campsite in the higher up mountains. So most of my town is at the bottom half, but then there's kind of this like Seychelles National Park Wildlife Refuge, because if it's my island, you already know there's definitely going to be a sanctuary. So I was kind of thinking that the top half of my island is like the wildlife sanctuary national park area, so there can't be paths there can't be anything there. It's much more natural and wild, and that's where I want my campsite. So I did actually change my mind quite a bit about how many trees to put in. I didn't want it to look too messy, but I did want to emphasize the point that it is a forest. So you see here I'm deleting the trees. I moved the campsite like 10 times because I don't really mind where exactly the campsite goes. I just want it to be kind of hidden away in the forest. So I thought that was kind of a cute idea, but then I still did think that the area looked a little bit empty, so I went back in with another house in case someone does want to play with me. I kind of like this, so I thought that there should be like a main beach, like South Beach in Miami. So I actually went back in with some rocks too, and I just created this sort of like more detailed beach. It's kind of similar to the other beaches, but it's even more like, I don't know, more eye-catching. So that's like the main hangout area. I experimented with a dirt path at the top corner there, but I didn't like that because that is a national park. There are no paths. Well, I guess that national parks do have paths, but... So here's my finished island. I don't know if I'll actually stick to it because I feel like while you're playing there's so many new ideas that can emerge, so I don't know if I'm going to be very strict about it, but it was very fun to create this. At the end of my last designing my island video, I actually asked all of you to share your islands with me, and I really enjoyed looking at them. So once again, I will have a link to Happy Island Designer and my social media in the description. If you send your designs to me, I would absolutely love it. I really genuinely enjoy looking at them. It's so amazing to see all of your amazing creative ideas. That being said, I'm also going to be doing a Let's Play series on New Horizons, and I really want your input on it. Would you prefer if I did a live stream or a video on March 20th? If I did a live stream, I would upload it afterwards, and it would probably be around 11 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me know what you think. I did do a poll on Instagram and Twitter, but I do want to get the input from YouTube as well. So comment down below which one you would prefer to see, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!